In this part, we will go now a little bit more to reality. Yes. Yeah. Okay. This project started as some symposium about non-formal education, some seminar. It was the first activity that we had. And after that, two groups of young people, workers, trainers, was educated to create online courses using Moodle. We also used Moodle. So we will now see the three presentations from those groups. Okay, so people who was educated on courses how to make online courses, create them and implement them. And from those, I think in this moment it was 7 courses that was implemented. We will see 3 of them, just to have some idea what was the topic and what the structure and experience that they had in reality. Okay, so first things we will hear about the topic is.
It's training of trainers listen to the youth voice.
So we will. It started as idea how to support young people in decision-making process and to be more involved in it. So now we will hear what is the experience that they had. Okay, so you will.
Yep. Okay. So can you dale cuando yo te diga algo. Okay. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our presentation with the online course that we have created and implemented, or trying to implement it. My name is Cristobal, and with me are Jambo and Julio, that are going to be the teachers that are going to present this English course. Okay, go. Good. These are the contents that we are going to cover. Go. The structure of the program, the Moodle experience in the implementation, the skills acquired in creating online courses, and the results and effect of this online course at us. Okay? According to the structure, well, description, although Jambo has commented something, it was a course directed or focused on training of trainers that listen to youth voice, and it deals with the participation of youth in democratic processes and in processes in general, political processes. Target group are 3 collectives, like youth trainers, youth workers, and people in general that were interested in politics and in participation. The requirements were to be fluent in English because of the technical concepts and the technical information that has been provided for them. On the dates were from the 1st of September to the 15th of October. Obviously, it was free of charge. Okay, go. Good. According to the structure, general objective was to involve them, to facilitate them how to deal, to trainers, how to deal with democratic processes and participation. And we have written here some specific objectives, like to promote active citizenship among young people and to empower young people in terms of participation and to get in contact and to interact with young politicians from local contexts. Go. The contents that we provided them were divided into 5 modules. First one is an introductory module of the course with the basic information of it. We moved on to the youth participation in the community. Module 3 dealt with youth participation in democratic and political processes. Module 4 was related to the resources and the tools to promote the youth participation. And finally, we included a module 5 of assessment and evaluation of the teaching and learning process. The assessment was a continuous assessment through a kind of activities, tasks, assignments, and quizzes. And finally, those who completed the course got a certificate valued in terms of 60 hours of study. Okay. These are some pictures. Okay, go. The 4 pictures are 4. These are some pictures of the contents that were included in the Moodle platform and device. As you can see, there are different elements and tools like gamification, let's play with concepts, kind of game of hangman, questionnaires and tests, forums to interact, and also assignments. Also, we included a wiki because we consider that it's a way to share the knowledge among the participants. Okay? According to our Moodle's experience in the implementation, participants' access was limited to the first days. Most of them left the course and half of them didn't enter never, so it was a little bit frustrated, but anyway. They played the games and answered some quizzes and some surveys and some questions provided. The communication process was bi-directional, students, student, teachers, those who contacted with us. Participants didn't complete most of the tasks and they didn't complete the course, so their results weren't so positive. Again? Good.
I'm Jumbo, and I'm coming from Macedonia. I will represent some of new knowledges that we've got from the Moodle. Since Moodle is an open source platform, so it's a awesome platform you have a wide range of possibilities, especially if you are a web programmer like PHP language. We will put here some knowledges that we've got. We've achieved the first one, and it's a creation of appropriation and context for the course. So we've put a lot of interesting things. We tried to do it. The next one, it's a creation and assessment of the chats, which without that they will have communication between them, kind of discussion for the lesson and the things we've did it inside the online course. If we go to the creation of assessment of wikis, we've put kind of like a testing of their knowledges inside. We've got this as a knowledge achievement. Creation and assessment of quizzes, we did it, but we didn't, we are in progress for adding a multiply questions. If you go the creation and assessment of surveys and questionnaire, of course we had it. After some interviews that they had to do it with young politicians, we've got it as a knowledge. Creation and assessments of forums, of course, and the first forum that we have created, it's being used a lot from the participants. Creation and assessments of game or gamification. We had a game, like it's created with a snake. It was pretty interesting game. Creation and assessment of assignment. Yes, they had it to upload some assignments for assignment for the interview that they had it to do. Creation of dynamic and innovative lesson. We've got it. We've put it some kind of videos inside, PDF files, and some kind of fancy things. Upload of digital resources. We have URLs, videos, PDF documents, and etc. So to be much more interesting, kind of explanation of in different style. So, last part.
Well, according to our experience, it was great, as you saw, like Jumbo's played. But now we have the reality about the results of participants, and it was not so amazing. Oh, sorry. Fuck, it was a disaster, as you can see. It's better to switch off. Well, participants that apply the course, 15. Well, it's okay, it's a good course. But after we have participants that never entered the course, 7. You know? The, participants that enter in the course at least once, 8. And participants that finish at least one module, 0. And no one finished the course, fortunately. And we had 7 posts, most of them with the presentations and just some questions. And a number of interactions with trainers, including the presentations, some technical problems about the platform is not working well, and sorry, I couldn't enter in the chat, these things, 18. So as you can see, it's quite disappointing. But this is the reality of our course. That way we have a lot of things to learn. And some of the problems we found, some of the challenge we have for the future you were talking about during the morning in other presentations. And we have some open questions that maybe you can help us to solve or to find some solutions for the problems we find. First, these are the motivation of participants. Why these participants decided to apply to the course? Most of them were youth workers that had some interest about what youth participation is, how could help or encourage people to participate in their communities. Other were students that finished their careers, or they were studying in social or educational careers, and youth trainers that had some kind of experience and they wanted to know more about. Probably this is the most interested, to know more about the topic. But we found out how to keep motivation of e-learning during the course, because first day, okay, I'm here, I'm very enthusiastic, I want to know more, but after 2 days, 3 days, we didn't have any input. So do you have an idea or suggestion about how could we improve this motivation, how to encourage the people? Do you have some suggestions according to what happened?
Hi, from my observation, I was on the Moodle course, how to deal with it. And I have to say that at the beginning I thought, wow, this is very interesting, but at the end I said I would never use it. Because whatever I'm doing, I try to see it from the perspective of the person who using it. And it's boring. It's very boring because it's just another way of formal learning. It's the same as the formal learning, you just don't see the teacher. So you again have PDF files, you again have the same thing you have, but with that you don't have person who can answer questions. So for me this was at the beginning minus with that tool. Problem with the tool is also, this is my perspective, is that is not very user friendly. So people who are very skillful in social media and everything likes to have simple things. They don't want to have support or that kind of, this is not easy. Because for me it was also very complicated and I see myself as skillful in lots of stuff. This is what this is because for that I never used Moodle. What I want to emphasize, but not maybe to using Doodle, but how I see the future of online learning is that we have to be aware that young people likes to see visually. So they prefer, they used to prefer text, after that they prefer images, after that now they prefer videos. So for me personally, if I want to see something, how it's done, I go to YouTube. It has to be, and the best for you probably, that you saw the videos on YouTube who are interesting, not just the person who is talking, but you usually see the arrows pointing, you see the pictures coming. So it has to be something that is visually appearing and it makes us come for more. It has to be interesting. That is main motivation for me. So it's like at the beginning, no one told us that we have to turn off our mobile phones, but all you teachers were so interesting that I didn't have any urge to take my mobile phone. But if I'm on a university and my teacher is very boring, I will take it. So if you are interesting as a person, you can speak I don't have to see anything. That's something that is make my interest and motivation to hear. But unfortunately, I could say young people are more, I have a daughter who is 12, and I'm mostly trying to see through her eyes. And if something that is not interesting for her in like few minutes, it's gone. So interest has to be fast. After that, you can, if you put the interest, then you can elaborate. But at the beginning, have to be something that is very interesting. And other thing is that it has to be a lot of videos. Even it will be more interesting for them to watch YouTube video of professor who is talking than to go on the Moodle and download. So that's why they drop out. This is not not my solution to the problems, but just my point of how things working today among young people and how we maybe to get to them. So thank you for listening.
I totally agree with this point. Definitely visual content weighs heavier than just a PDF with text. And this is something that I guess we can experiment with a lot. I've attended online courses that had a video of a youth worker trying to deliver some content which I totally disliked. I have to admit I dropped out of the course. So it's also a way for us to see how well we look in front of the camera, how well we speak. But it's definitely something worth exploring and something that I'm looking now from the other side. We as providers of online courses have to take into consideration. It was a very interesting assessment that you did, showing us that 0 participants finished the course. And I think that there's a lot of food for thought for us to see what could be possibly the reasons and how we can address that. Something that came to my mind is one of the core principles probably that non-formal education is based on, and something that makes youth work so different from formal education is that it should be centered on the participant. Now imagine this massive online courses that we have in which you can have up to hundreds of people, thousands maybe, register. And then the process that is happening there is that I register and then I'm the one that receives the content, and then nobody cares about what I produce or how I contribute. In this case, you had 15 participants register. So the possibility for them to interact by default is much higher. So this is something that I personally would focus a lot on and would see how I can address this, because something that really frustrates me personally in participating in online courses is that I have this very cool idea and I want to say it, but then who is actually going to read me? Because let's be honest, one thing is when I'm talking to you and you're nodding and you're smiling and I receive this as an immediate feedback, and another thing is when I'm writing something which goes into the online space and I have no idea who even bothered to read that. So I don't believe that it's impossible. I just think that it's one level higher of challenge to see how we can make sure that our participant will feel like he was read, he was listened to, and then that his opinion mattered, because this is something that we're constantly trying to sell as, yes, non-formal education gives more than formal education from this perspective. So maybe as a practical suggestion, something that can be done from the very beginning of the course is making sure that the participants in your course feel like there are other people, that I'm actually interacted not with a machine, but with another person. So, you know, the parallel in a training course or in a youth exchange or anything would be an energizer. First thing you do when you have a new group, you do an energizer, and then you see people goofing around and laughing and bonding. So something that can be translated into the online space is maybe having one of these bingo activities in which you would give them a task. Hey, try to talk to this other person, see who they are, what do they like, and then create this human connection. And then, again, a video can come in hand, in which you are, you know, physically doing something, showing something, putting a face to the text that you're uploading. So in case you're encouraged and you're willing to do some other experiment like this, I think that there's definitely space to brainstorm a bit and to see how it can be improved. And it's definitely not a failure. It's a very good practical exercise and space for learning because it's useful for all of us to see how we can make our work better. Thank you.
Thanks for the presentation. You have
some of the questions you did the same.
Okay.
You asked, you already answered. So we're going to use learning in a non-formal way, as you said. Sorry, and maybe this was a question that we had, because as Chris thought, participants should receive at the end, when they achieve the course, a kind of non-official certificate that we did, okay? But maybe they don't feel that it's useful for them, for the CV, etc. So do you think that in this kind of course in a non-formal education is interesting to give this kind of certificates, and could it be useful to help to motivate participants for continue the course, to finish it? Someone has something to think about, to talk about, or comment about that? No? Really? Okay, so it's something that we talk about, but okay, I think in this case, when we are talking about the non-formal education, we should do the course and the learning course just because we want to learn. But I think it's a thing to think about. And finally, that you already talked about, it's the question of how to improve interaction with and between participants, what we were talking about. And thank you very much for your comments, because it's something that we will think about that. And that's all. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay. The one thing that we wanted with this part of the project, when people start to create their own online courses, was mainly for them to see how it is. So I hope that those experience will help them, or people who are interested more, to develop it more. But we will now see the presentation of another online course that is more connected with volunteerism and youth activism. So it is also the question, can we do those things, those topics, somehow online?
Thank you. Hey everyone. My name is Dragana Mitrovic, and I'm from Macedonia, and I'm going to speak about our online course on behalf of my team, of course. What we did, we participated in, first of all, I'm one of the dinosaurs here, and I'm very dedicated to trying to learn new ways to work with young people and to make the learning experience best for them. So I'm like motivated to learn new technologies, but as you see, I'm lost in online space, in every space. I missed one word here. We participated in the course in March, and then we developed our online course, which was called Seeds of Change. I think, where did I do? Here? Yeah. Okay. We were a team of 7 people, I think, at the training. And the idea for our course was to encourage the young people to get out of the of passivity they're into, to make them more active. So how else than to, one of the solutions was to try to build and strengthen young people into youth leaders in their communities. So our idea was to develop this online course to support them and to maybe educate and help them to become and grow into youth leaders in their communities. So that was what was the idea and our expectations. At the course in Sremski Karlovci, it was very interesting because we had very brief time to work, and it was maybe a bit intimidating for some of us, because I think that if you want to develop an online course, you need to at least have some experience being a learner yourself. And luckily, as I said, the dinosaur who likes to try new things and likes to improve themselves for the benefit of young people, I've started taking online courses since 2010-11, so I've seen a lot. So I had some idea how it should look like. We didn't manage to do it as it was, envisioned, but we expected we were going to do something. Some of us were kind of demotivated because it meant that we will have to work when we get back home, and we'll have to continue working on the course, and that would take time and that would take effort. So some part of our group decided to drop out, and finally it turned out that only 2 of us finished the course as trainers, but we did sort of good job, I think. And our expectations were, maybe, I'm usually realistic, and someone would say that I'm not optimistic, but I am realistic. So I didn't expect many participants to show or to be that interested, although at the end I was kind of disappointed by the turnout of our course. The developing of the course, we started and gathered some materials while we were in Sremski Karlovci and then continued. I reworked some of the materials from the trainers who dropped out from our group. And if we have some time, maybe we can see something at how it looks as a course, if we have some time. The structure, okay, this was like a video I wanted to play, and I used it in the beginning of the course and the same one at the end of the course. So it was about youth activism. What is youth participation and activism? So the participants would have to experience it at the beginning when they have no knowledge maybe and less experience in the topics, and then at the end, so their understanding for the video would be maybe different. I wanted to use it so I can see their comments, maybe experiences about this video. And never mind, you will see it in the course. Okay, now the structure of our course. It has intro, where we put introduction of trainers, forum for introduction of the participants. We have glossary, which we started filling in, but nobody participated in it. Then we have this pre-survey, like demographics, and also one questionnaire, a quiz that we used as for evaluation of their knowledge. So we had this same quiz at the beginning, non-grading quiz at the beginning in the intro part, and then the same one in the outro part, hopefully that it will show the difference on what the participants have learned through the course. It has 4 topics, 3 of which, the first 3 are very important that require engagement, while the 4th was informative part that could be very useful to our participants. So the first part is being active, and it would last like 1 week. It contained information that is a lot of theory, unfortunately, about youth participation and active youth participation, like the models of youth participation. One part about motivation and one part about volunteerism. Here they also had one assignment that they would have to do offline and a quiz. Second topic was the youth leader, and it contained some also educative and informative stuff that regarding the skills that a leader should have, so they would develop in those areas. So we had parts about communication, teamwork, and time management. And the third part was the longest, and it contained, this is like basics, but it contained 2 parts. One of it is my idea, my project, and it was sort of project management, how to come from an idea to develop it in a plan and start implementing. But on very basic level, of course, some theory about project management, who is interested. And the second part was my idea might need some cash, and it was like fundraising possibilities and theory about that, and especially fundraising from the community. And as I said, the fourth topic was opportunities for youth and some small information about what is non-formal education, and the outro. So, this is just to go through the structure what we had, and if you can see that it is very, very ambitious. It contains a lot. But we were hoping that maybe they can use this knowledge. They don't have to learn it all, but they can use all the resources and then have them as resources in the future in their work, so they can go through it. What is interesting, we had the assignments were interesting. For example, in the topic 2, topic 1, we had an assignment for them to go work offline, to try make a research about the NGOs in their community, and then try to interview 2 volunteers, for example, and then do the assignment with the reasons, with their conclusions about the motivation of the volunteers. So that would engage them somehow to actually go and do something that would be much more interesting maybe for them. In the second part, in the second topic, they had an assignment to make a team of their peers. For example, 2 or 3 friends who would come and work with them together and learn together. So the idea is for them to form a group. And then in the second part, they are developing some simple idea for their community that they can implement actually. And then how to approach the assignment in the last part was to write a letter asking for sponsorships from someone in the community. So it was practically, the idea was that it will go like theoretical part, and then they would have assignments to work on in their own community and with some other people. It didn't turn out like we planned, but never mind. What I wanted to say is like the results. On the first course, we had 15 participants, 2 of whom finished successfully, and we're very happy about that. But later I'll tell you what we did to have that. And the second one, which is ongoing at the moment, we have 6 participants. Hopefully we'll have more of them finish, but we'll see again. And now, the very important part, which I will try to answer, encouraging participation. I think maybe the marketing wasn't, we didn't do well with the marketing part, so we had very few participants. On the other hand, as a participant, what we talked before, like the motivation of the participant would be like watching videos. I mean, me, myself, I hate the boring stuff of reading and PDFs and everything when I have online courses, and I like videos. I like when the professor is taking a video of themselves, whatever. They might be reading, but it's easier for me to learn like that. So we actually first planned to do it like it, but it turned out that it wasn't very easy to implement it. So I gave up on that idea. So we have used many videos from the YouTube that are connected to the topics that we're having here. We do have some theory, some PDFs, but much more videos that I'm using from other sources. And also, I was hoping that that might be useful for them and encourage them to watch. Also, we have, after each topic, we have additional resources and videos, like not obligatory for the course, but some list of resources they can use after the course or whenever they like. Also, encouraging participation was not easy. We wrote them emails, announcements. We also have Facebook group, and we were trying to, every 3-4 days a week, to try to talk to them, to try to say something new, to announce the quiz is open now, like if you need any attention or we were available on Skype, but nobody ever asked us to talk to them on Skype. And it was pretty difficult. What I want to say is also that some of these participants were young people that I would work with, and only one of them, 4 of them were in the group, only one of them finished. Plus, I expect that the English language was a barrier for young people. So for my kids, as I call them, we organized workshops in our organization, and we would go part by part, trying to translate, trying to discuss. So it was extra time for them and for me, but I expect that they probably learned something. So this is maybe maybe support to the thesis that maybe live contact might additionally assist. So options for live, maybe blended learning might be useful for these spaces here for the Balkans, where online learning is not a trend. That would be some sort of solution. And also, we allow them to write their assignments in Macedonian, in Serbian, whichever language they're using, whichever their mother tongue is. So we did try a lot. So now in the second part, which is a second course, which is starting, I have, unfortunately and sadly, 4 from the participants are actually kids from Štip. One of them moved to London. So I'm emotional when they are leaving. So probably we'll have 3. We're going to work. We have workshops every week together, so we're going to work on this one too. Whew. And the results of the course a bit discouraging for me and for, I guess, Andrea, who is not here today. But hopefully we'll get to the point when our young people are going to be motivated to learn. The problem is not in the online space or in the non-formal education. The problem is with the, I think, the culture and the motivation in the society for the young people. So that is something we need to work on, not just videos or whichever tools we use. The point is we need to work a bit more on their encouragement and motivation to participate and to work here. Okay, that would be it. And I just wanted to share, this is one of the results. That is the certificate. And this is another, oops, and Yellen. Those are the 2 guys who finished the first course. Do we have them? What do we do now? Até muito glad. This is Jelena. Maybe I should go there. I don't know what to do.
Through Association for the Development of Civil Society Bonsai from Dubrovnik, and I'm very pleased with the course, and I think that we all can do something in our society to improve some things, and through this course I learned a lot of things. Although I did know that stuff, but I'm always open to learning some new stuff, and I'm very pleased with the course. So uh, I don't know what else can I say. So it's useful, especially for young people and for other people who want to do something in their society and change things. So maybe do you have some questions?
Thank you, Jelena. Can you hear me?
Yes?
Okay, cool. I wasn't quite sure what I was doing. Okay, I'm very thankful for your sharing of your experience. I would only ask you one thing as a participant. What can we do better to make this course more interesting?
Maybe it was lots of people didn't know for that course. Maybe maybe to promote that course through various resources. I think that many young people would like to participate in something like that, but I don't know what else. As I said, I'm very
Contents and
pleased.
the activities, the quizzes, were they difficult, the assignments?
No, for me, no. Even I didn't finish all the assignments in course. It was I finished the assignments which are very important for me now in this time. So I will definitely finish two more assignments later.
Not difficult. You finished the ones with the idea?
Yes,
and
my
the
project
letter.
plan. I finished my project plan assignments and many many more, but I didn't.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I didn't hear you.
And I said all the quizzes, you finished all the quizzes and those two assignments.
Yes,
the good thing
yes.
was that those two assignments had most points.
Yes, yes, that's
yeah.
right.
Okay.
That's right.
Thank you very much, Jelena. I'm very happy to see you now, and hopefully
Welcome.
when we have any other information or any other opportunities I can share with you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, we don't have Shakir. He was the other participant, but he didn't join. So yeah, we had, I didn't say about that, we had grading of every quiz and every assignment. So, and the participants were informed about everything on time. So if you have any questions, and maybe in some spare moment, you can go through the course just to see how it looks like. So at some point. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dragana. And for the final part of this section, we invited Katarina to present a course that she, with some fellows, made about gender equality. So for us, it was also a question, is it a topic for online learning?
Okay, thank you, Marco. So actually, my presentation is going to be a little bit different than these two previous ones. I'm not going to show you the content. I would like to share with you my impressions that I had as a person who was creating one online course for the first time, online course of non-formal education, I have to stress out. So these are the notes I made this morning because I saw that some things are coming back or are same like from the people previously being here, or that they were mentioned by the Mr. Atwell or Miss Ivana Wolf. So obviously that there are some regularities we can say that are now in non-formal online education. Okay, so now back to my course. This sign here is because the group I was a member of decided to make an online course about gender equality. Just a second. So, before starting the course, what we have all noticed, the members of my group, that we had no knowledge about creating online course and almost no knowledge about gender equality. So we were like almost tabula rasa, or we can say like my presentation. So at the very beginning, we were first standing in perspective as a participant who wants to learn something, and through this course we were in a process of transition from that perspective to the perspective of a trainer. So I will go back to this point a little bit later because I think it's very interesting and different from the formal learning. I have to also say that I was working as a professor in a high school for 7 years. So all through this process, I was seeing the differences between formal learning, formal face-to-face learning, and non-formal online learning. And what I've also noticed, when you are working face-to-face, you need to have academic level of knowledge or very high level of knowledge what you are teaching about. But when you are on online learning, you don't have it. You don't have to have it in the moment when you are starting. You can learn it through the process of creating online course. So that was quite interesting for me. The challenges we noticed through this process is, of course, what Mr. Atwell was mentioning, the pedagogical approach and the things that were already mentioned in these presentations before me. How to make online course, not to be just something, some content with a bunch of informations, because information is not knowledge. How to make it interactive, and to avoid, at the end, to have something that is tutorial or something that looks like just a conference. So I would say that was the hardest way in this process of creating online course. Also, what I wanted to stress out that we didn't think at the beginning of the process, but when the course was finished, I realized that we didn't think about the language style. When we started doing the course, of course, we did it in a very formal language style, and when the course was done, I was thinking, okay, probably target group, and it was at the end, our target group were young people, and our language style was very formal. Why didn't we try to do it in the other way? And especially because once before I was a participant in an online course, which language style was completely non-formal, and I still think it was very good quality. So language style doesn't have to be formal, because we usually think if it's in non-formal style, then people will find it not professional, but that's not the case. So I would change that if I would go it all over again. And also, what I have to mention are copyrights. I know that maybe people from Spain or Lithuania or Finland will find it strange why I mention copyrights. But people from Croatia, for example, know that copyrights and dealing it is something that is very important in Croatia. So I would say it's very important to have on your minds. It's the easiest way to just go and Google something. But we know that's not the right way. And it's something that we all the time have on our minds. Maybe not for you in the other countries, but in Croatia. So we are still in the process of learning that and having it on our mind. And what I have learned, I've heard that you are all these two groups before me don't feel content how the course ended up. Well, I do feel, although the statistics are not good also, but I feel content because I've learned a lot. It was an interesting process for me, and it was something that I feel useful, and I think I'm going to use it some time in the future. What I haven't think about when we started creating the course is that our engagement in the course doesn't end with the moment when the course is done. You also have a role of a trainer after the course is there, somewhere on the internet. Because it's, as I said before, it's not tutorial. You have to communicate with the participant if you want to have some kind of approach, human approach to the people who are participating in your course. And I find it in as much important as a part when you are creating the course. We mentioned the participants' engagement. It can be done by very interactive courses. Jumbo is laughing over there. I know that their course was very interactive, and still their participants, as they said, were not that engaged. So no matter if you have really interactive course, doesn't mean it's not a key of success. It's sometimes just about the participants. It's not a key of success. It helps to get a good online course, I think, but it's not a key thing in an online course. And also, what I would change now in my course is what I haven't think about, and my group didn't think about at the beginning of creating our course, is the level of knowledge of the participants. We didn't make the change, we weren't thinking about the participants. Do they have some basic knowledge or not, or they are maybe improved learners? So in the future, it's good to think about the people who are applying for the course and what is their level of knowledge, and maybe to make some kind of test. So if they pass the test, so they don't have to go all the way from the beginning, because that's boring. That you have to go through something that you already know. And that can be one of the reasons maybe why people gave up of some courses that were actually really good. They didn't have time to go all over it, especially if, like my course, our course had been, participants were obligated to go through every step. You couldn't jump through the levels. So I would change that also, yeah. And there are definitely advantages of online learning. For example, as I said before, it's possibility for the trainer to learn. So it's a way of how you learn, and you get two things. You learn, and people at the end get some kind of way to learn the subject that they decided to learn for. And if you ever try, if you ever have tried the training course with face-to-face, it's easiest way is just to talk. But when you have online course, you already have different activities, different styles. There here, you just choose which one you want. So that's why it's easier than making the course face-to-face. And disadvantages, of course, what haven't been mentioned today. For example, if I'm a trainer and I do with people developing, for example, human values, or we want to make some kind of social change, how we are going to reach the people who are not interested in learning? People who applied for our course already were aware of this social problem, like gender inequality is. But how to reach the people who don't want to learn? Is it possible to make a social change through the online course on online non-formal learning? So we can discuss about that, because I think that's one of if you ask me, that's one of very important disadvantages of non-formal online learning. And conclusion at the end, maybe I'm wrong, but it turned out for me, that online learning is more suitable, or I would say more easier, if you are developing some kind of technical or practical skills of knowledges. But it's much harder, it was harder for me when it was about developing values. Because if there is no personal contact, how you're going to get a person to develop the values you want to bring out? So I would say that's something to think about in the future. And thank you for your attention. Maybe if you have some comments or questions, maybe.
Just one comment, which is really small. It seems to me. It seems to me although you're trying to do non-formal learning, you're separating the subject of the learning from the practice of the learners. And I think I would start with the practice of the learners. The practice of the learners. So you're starting, first exercise, I'd be trying doing things like, get me to take one picture which reflects your ideas or what you're practicing. I don't know what these people are doing. But this is about youth work or things like that. It's that youth work practice. I was intrigued by the fact that the one which came up with, we started out with the theory, and then after the theory, some brilliant exercises, but half of them had dropped out before they got past the theory, yeah? But why start with the theory? Why not start with the practice? And if we're talking about gender equality, once more, I'm interested in the experiences of the learners. I'd start with their experience about gender, rather than starting with our account of research into experience of gender.
We had this in the course, we had a feedback part where we asked participants to bring out their experiences with gender inequality. But there were just few of them who gave at least one example. And as I said before, also statistics were not good because most of the participants dropped out before ending the course.
So get it in first, before they go.
Before, yeah. Okay.
Just one short comment about your previous slide, where you said that it's difficult to, no, before that, I think, the questions, that it's difficult to reach people who are not interested in the subject and who are not already like sharing the values through online. From my experience, it's even impossible or really hard to do it offline, because when you work with young people in the context where we work, we usually target, like normally, if you don't outreach and make effort to target some really hard to reach young people, let's say, you're usually having the ones who are already a little bit aware of the social issues and have similar values, or are at least ready to rethink the things. So I think that maybe not through Moodle online courses, but through online or digital youth work, it can have a bigger reach, maybe even than like inviting people for the workshop and then always having the same young people who always want to learn more and discuss things. But then like going to Facebook groups of, I don't know, people who have some extreme attitudes towards something, and then trying to talk to them there. So in that sense, it might have been more advantages, has more advantages to do it online than offline.
Population and student population. So there are always some people who are not willing to learn in those groups. But of course, when they are obligated to participate, the change can be done. But it cannot be reached to them if you are trying to the course like this was, I would say. Okay. Thank you.